A cart travels along a frictionless roller coaster track. At point A, the cart is 10 meters above the ground and traveling at 2 meters per second. Note: assume gravity is exactly 9.8 meters per second squared. Determine A. What is the velocity at point B when the cart reaches the ground? B. What is the velocity of the cart at point C when the cart reaches at height of 3 meters? C. What is the maximum height the cart can reach before the cart stops? In solving velocity and maximum height, we are going to use conservation of energy. So sa conservation of energy, it is a rule that energy in is equals to energy out. Doon sa problem natin, wala tayong workflow. Wala rin tayong internal energy, heat, at work steady flow. So, ika-cancel natin yung mga hindi kailangan. So, cancel ito. Ang workflow, cancel ang internal energy, cancel ang heat, cancel ang workflow, internal energy, and work steady flow. So, ang matitira dyan is potential energy sub 1, kinetic energy sub 1, potential energy sub 2, kinetic energy sub 2. So, ang formula natin sa potential energy is mass times gravity times height. Ang formula naman natin sa kinetic energy is mass, speed, squared, all over 2. Kung gagamitin natin itong dalawang formula na ito sa conservation of energy, ang makakalabasan niya is mass times gravity times height sub 1 plus 1/2 mass speed squared sub 1 is equals to mass times gravity times height sub 2 plus 1/2 times mass times speed squared sub 2. Ang given natin sa problem is height sub A is equals to 10 meters. Speed sub A is equals to 2 meters per second. Ang gravity naman natin is 9.8 meter per second squared. Ang hinahanap naman natin sa problem natin is speed sub B where cart reaches ground, speed sub C where cart reaches 3 meters, and height sub D for height maximum kung saan lang maabot ng cart. Para mahanap natin yung mga required, kailangan muna natin isolve ang total energy. Since ang mga given natin is from point A, ang gagamitin natin for total energy is from point A. So, total energy is equals to potential energy sub A plus kinetic energy sub A. Ang formula natin sa potential energy is mass times gravity times height. Ang formula mo natin sa kinetic energy is 1/2 times mass times speed squared. So, ang sa-substitute natin is yung may mga value which is yung z at yung speed. Meron din tayong value for gravity. Okay. Mass times 9.8 meter per second squared times 10 meters plus 1/2 times mass times 2 meters per second squared is equals to mass times 98 meters squared per second squared plus mass times 2 meters squared per second squared. Ipagpa-plus lang natin yung common variable, so which is itong 2 meters squared per second squared and 98 meters squared per second squared. So, ang total energy natin is mass times 100 meters squared per second squared. Since meron tayong energy, total energy for sub A, isasolve natin yung speed sub B. For this one, we need to solve total energy sub B. So, ito pa rin yung formula natin. Ang meron lang tayong given, kasi ang hinahanap sa speed sa B is speed where it reaches ground. So, automatic yung height natin is 0 meters. So, substitute na tayo. Mass times 9.8 meter per second squared times 0 meters. Plus 1/2 times mass times speed sa B squared. Itong potential energy natin is makakancel dahil may 0. Kaya ang matitira is 1/2 times mass times speed sa B squared. Sa conservation of energy, total energy sub A is equal to total energy sub B. I-substitute lang natin yung mga value. So, sa total energy sub A, meron tayong mass times 100 meters squared per second squared. Sa total energy sub B naman, meron tayong 1/2 mass speed sub B squared. So, para ma-cancel natin yung dalawang mass na walang value, ita-transpose natin itong mass dito sa kabila. Okay, so, all over M. So, cancel, cancel, cancel. Ang natitira is 100 meter squared per second squared is equal to 1/2 times speed sa B squared. Dito tayo. So, 100 meters squared per second squared is equal to 1/2 times speed sa B squared. So, para malabas natin yung speed sa B, we need to transpose the 1/2 sa kabila, then square root natin para matanggal ang squared. So, speed sa B is equal to square root of 2 times 100 meters squared per second squared. Pag kinalculate natin yan, ang magiging sagot is speed sa B is equal to 14.4 meter per second. So, nasolve po natin yung speed sa B. Para masolve natin yung speed sub Z, dapat natin hanapin yung total energy for point C. Ito pa rin yung formula na gagamitin natin. Since meron tayong value for gravity and height sub C, i-substitute natin yan sa formula natin. So, mass times 9.8 meter per second squared times 3 meters plus 1/2 times mass times speed sub C squared. Ngayon, ita-times lang natin or i-multiply natin ang 9.8 meter per second squared sa 3 meters. So, ang total energy sub C natin is mass times 29.4 meters squared per second squared plus 1/2 times mass times speed sub C squared. Ang conservation of energy natin is total energy sub A is equal to total energy sub C. So, makikita natin ulit itong mass times 100 meters squared per second squared. Okay. Mass times 100 meters squared per second squared is equal to mass times 29.4 meters squared per second squared plus 1/2 times mass times speed sub C squared. Para makancel natin yung mass or patanggal natin yung mass, need natin is transpose si mass from sub A dito sa side ng sub C. So, divide lang natin yan sa M. Kasi ganun mag-transpose. So, cancel, 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 cancel. Ang matitira dyan is 100 meter squared per second squared is equal to 29 meters squared per second squared plus 1/2 times speed sub C squared. Ngayon, need natin hanapin si speed sub C. Ang itatranspose natin si speed sub C, ang itatranspose natin pabalik is si 100 meters squared per second squared. or para mas madali, ang may iwan lang sa kanan is speed sub c. Para lang maiwan sa kanan to, magiging negative ang 29.4 meter squared per second squared. Then, imbis na 1/2 to, ita-times natin siya dito sa kaliwa. Para mawala ang squared, need natin siya i-square root both sides. Okay. Makikita natin dito. U sub c squared is equal to 2 times 100 minus 29.4 meter squared per second squared. Ang sagot nito is 141.2 meter squared per second squared. Ngayon, para makancel natin yung squared, we need to apply square root on both sides. So, speed sub c is equal to square root of 141.2 meter squared per second squared. Ang magiging sagot niyan is 11.88 meters per second. So, nasolve na po natin yung speed sub c. To solve for c sub d, we need to find the total energy for point D. Ito pa rin yung gagamitin natin formula. Since meron lang tayong given for G, which is 9.8 meter per second squared, and yung speed sub D natin. Doon sa problem natin, yung ginamit na energy dun is potential energy. So, let's assume na yung speed natin is 0 meter per second. Makakancel yung kinetic energy natin. So, ang total energy natin for sub D is mass times 9.8 meter per second squared times Z sub D. Para sa conservation of energy natin, which is total energy sub A is equal to total energy sub D. Is equals to mass times 100 meter squared per second squared is equals to mass times 9.8 meter per second squared times Z sub D. We need to divide mass times 9.8 meter per second squared on both sides para malipat natin siya at matira ay yung Z sub D. So, ilipat natin, cancel. Ang matitira is 100 meter squared per second squared divided by 9.8 meter per second squared. And Z sub D is equal to 10.20 meters. Yan na yung sagot.